What's that cat's name?
This is Remington.
Remington?
Yes.
That's not the one that was in last episode.
This is not. No.
Okay. Maybe that'll be a thing. Just like a new cat every episode. Hello, welcome to Showboys. Arcane is finally here, and we're here to review and recap and react, probably overanalyze and just geek out over episode 1 of the first act of Arcane. I'm joined here by my good friend, fellow Pokemon enthusiast, Venom. How you doing tonight, man?
Not too bad. Glad to be back into the swing of things with Arcane.
Yeah, man, there's so much to talk about. I'm very excited to dig into this episode. A few things we got to address first. One, shout out to our top tier patrons. Thank you, Josie, Yusuf H, and Tim B for your patronage. It's awesome. It really means a lot to us. Your support helps us out. If you're wondering what Patreon is or how you can support the podcast, you can head over to patreon.com/showboyspodcast. There's 4 different tiers, different price points, all come with different perks and rewards, such as early access to unedited episodes, Patreon exclusive episodes. There's even a Pokeboys tier. So go check it out if you feel the need to want to financially support us. It would be greatly appreciated. It is, of course, not necessary, but it would mean the world to us. So thank you, patrons. Second thing, the Arcane Steelbook giveaway is underway. So if you're interested in winning a Season 1 Jinx or Vi Steelbook edition, I believe Jinx is 4K and Vi was Blu-ray, but we'll have to ask Nick next episode to confirm that. All you have to do, subscribe, and then leave a comment. 1 comment per episode gets you an entry, and we will draw the winner in our finale. And lastly, I mentioned Nick, but he is not here. He had a planned surgery, I think Thursday or Friday last week. So sitting down's still kind of a little rough for him, so he's sitting this one out tonight. He'll be back in episode 2. But yeah, episode 1, Venom and I. Dude, are you ready to get into this?
I'm ready, yeah. I purposely only watched the first episode so I wouldn't confuse myself getting ready for this.
Yeah, when we jumped in the studio, I was going to ask you if you held off and only watched the first episode, or if you went ahead into episode 2 or 3. But
I wanted to watch the whole thing. Yesterday morning I was watching it, but nope, I held off. I'm like, I am going to be way too confused.
Yes, man. So where do we start?
So obviously we had the massive cliffhanger at the end of season 1. Got the rocket coming towards the council as they're debating on giving Zaun control and splitting Zaun and Piltover into 2 different nations, essentially. Right. And we got the Jinx super mega death rocket that hits the window and end of season 1. So, of course, the big question is, what happens? Who dies? Someone has to die, right? Someone has to die.
Yeah. So the episode, it started with the basically Caitlyn artsy music video. Yeah. We'll just get this out of the way. That's probably my only gripe. I was like, why are we essentially just having a music video to start the season? Just let's go. Right. I thought visually it was really cool. It was done pretty well, but I was like, let's not start with this.
It kind of goes back because season 1 you had the original pairing with Vi and Powder on the bridge, where they find out that their parents have died, and that's kind of disconnected to what else is happening in the season. So it was kind of a throwback, but yeah, I mean, that's not what anyone's interested in.
It ties in well too if you want to parallel the two, because we have Caitlyn like coming to terms with the death of her mother.
Right.
So that's kind of a cool parallel.
Right.
But maybe not right at the start. I was like, come on, let's get to it.
Yeah.
Let's get to it. But yeah, man, the aftermath of Jinx's super mega death rocket. Man, before we even get into this, the opening credits, so good. Like, I love the new animation and stuff with the characters.
I was curious if they were going to keep the original sound from season 1, and it was cool to see they did that and then changed everything up. Kind of got the Game of Thrones feeling there, where they kept the same sound but switched up the intro a little bit as far as the visuals go.
Yeah, it was very cool, very well done. Always love a good opening credit. But yeah, the wreckage of Jinx's sniper shot with her ultimate there. Jace, of course, plot armor. He's not going to die. Mel did not die. Caitlyn's mother did die. Basically, half of the council died, and Victor is like clinging on to life barely.
Yep.
Is that kind of what you were expecting? I mean, I didn't expect anything to happen to Jace, obviously.
Yeah. I knew, obviously, Victor and Jace have to survive. And likely Mel makes it through, although it would have been interesting if they had chosen to kill Mel off. It would have given extra motivation for her mother to get involved, but still let her survive. So it was just a matter of who of the kind of sub counselors are we going to kill off here, and having Caitlyn's mother be one of them was pretty big, I think.
Oh yeah, I mean that's huge, of course, and drives Caitlyn into her initial character development here in the beginning of the season. But the aftermath here kind of helps begin to answer the question we posed in episode 0 of like how Victor is going to become like in-game Victor. So I'm very interested to see how this turns out, because basically Jace, once he collects himself, which I thought like the scene of the explosion and him kind of like waking up, and it's very Saving Private Ryan like, where
very drawn out and dramatic.
That muffled ringing and confusion. Very well done. It's really, really good. But he sees Victor, in the rubble, and he rushes him into their workshop or whatever. And it was very cool to see the Hex Core reacting to Victor's body as he's on the table, and Jace notices that, and then he's just like, whatever, and he just basically like, all right, we're full sending here. Sorry, bro. We'll apologize later, but
well, in season 1, what ended up activating the Hex Core to begin with was, of course, Victor coughed up some blood on the table, and the core kind of took that blood in and began reacting to Victor's blood. And of course, we had the scene with in season 1, Victor takes the shimmer and begins bonding with that Hex Core. So he's made the process of kind of getting his body used to this Hex Core, and the core itself is, according to Victor, can actually learn and grow on its own. So it's interesting to see that Victor comes in injured like that, and the Hex Core reacts to those injuries and almost takes him in. And we get, at the end of the episode, we get the are the eyes going to open? Are they not going to open? And the very, very, very cliche, and they choose to keep them closed for this one. But
I was waiting.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's coming. It's definitely coming.
Yeah. I wonder how long. I mean, we don't have long. We have 8 episodes left.
Right.
But how long it'll be until we get like Victor,
right,
where he's got his cool little like laser tripod on his shoulder and like, yeah,
almost partially robotic and everything.
Yeah.
And that, speaking of that, that is something as well. Side topic. All of the articles and everything that have been coming out about the cost and supposed length of Arcane, and how this wasn't necessarily supposed to be the final season. So it'll be interesting to see. First episode seems to do really, really well. But it'll be interesting to see how fast do they start moving things along. Does it feel like they crammed things and jumped over steps that we feel would have been necessary later on?
Yeah, time will tell. But the articles you're talking about, I think they said it was supposed to run 5 seasons. Was their original plan?
So that was the rumor. There's been now pushback from the leading 2 guys have come back and say 5 seasons was never the plan. That it wasn't supposed to be 2, but they're saying 5 is an overstatement. So it's hard to say where it ended up in the middle somewhere, and who's correct, who's not. But needless to say, 2 was apparently not going to be the end goal.
Right. Now, refresh my memory and our listeners. Has Victor, in season 1, did he start like trending towards like what word am I thinking? Like did he start getting rubbed the wrong way and start becoming less nice guy Victor and more like evil robot Victor?
For the most part, he was focused on trying to help himself and help others. He started to have some falling out with Jace over Jace's involvement with the council and dealing with kind of the red tape back and forth, where Victor is obviously, he's from the lanes originally, and his whole idea behind Hex Tech to begin with was to help the other people from the lanes and to improve the lives of these people. And now Jace is suddenly in a, no, we're going to war with your people. And that started to cause a little bit of friction between Jace and Victor. But as far as the evil robot side, we haven't seen that come through yet, but we
hasn't been fully scorned yet.
Yeah, we've started to see some of the physical changes, but the emotional, mental changes, whatever ends up making Victor into kind of this, at least in the game, it seems like this kind of cold killing machine. We haven't made it there yet.
You know what I'm interested? So, going more towards the game now, I haven't read into any of the new lore of the game or any sort of updated character bios and stuff. But I wonder how much Arcane will play into the reshaping of these particular characters in game lore and stuff will be.
I think there's actually an update for Victor coming.
Oh,
so that'll be interesting. Hang on, let me see.
I know they just released a batch of Arcane skins, which looked really, really cool. I maybe if I get some free time, I'll browse around on League's website and see what Vi and Jinx, maybe Singed. I don't know if they would do Singed, but see if any of their kind of character bios or short stories have been updated to reflect Arcane.
Right.
But yeah, so excuse me, throat's a little dry there. Of course, the big death of the council, Kate's mother.
Right.
And this, before we get into her funeral memorial thing, because that's the end of the episode, after Mel and Jace and the other 2 council members, who I have not learned their name yet because I don't really care, if I'm being honest.
Living ones?
Yes, the 2 surviving council members.
Salo and Shula, I think.
Yeah. So technically 3 council members and Jace. Now they're ready to go to war with Zahn easily.
Right. Well, Jace is very absent. He is at Victor's side this whole time. Mm-hmm. So it ends up, we get this scene of the council being Salo, Shula, and Mel. And Salo is now heavily under the influence of Mel's mother. He's the one that ends up in the wheelchair, and
she even wheels him in.
she wheels him into the chamber, and we get this kind of standoff between the counselors deciding what do they need to do, how are they going to react.
Yes, and Bessa, Mel's mother.
Yep.
She makes her entrance into season 2 here, but she's just like lurking in the background throughout this entire episode. And the thumbnail for the episode is just the epic moment towards the end of the episode where she's got like her battle mask thing on and she looks at the camera. I was like, that needs to be the thumbnail.
Right. The army is now there. She was waiting for it. Yep.
But yeah, so the remaining 3 council members, tussling with what to do with Zahn. Mel is still kind of taking the pacifist route. She just kind of wants to go after Jinx. She thinks if they full out attack in response that it'll unite the people of Zahn against Piltover. She just wants to go after Jinx. The wheelchair guy, he's like, no, we need to go. We need to not hold back. We need to use Hex Tech. Like, let's get going.
Yeah, and the opinion of most of the council has always been Zahn, or the lanes at least, are beneath them and garner no attention and no support. And that was part of what Jace used to get Heimerdinger elected or voted off of the council in season 1, was their oversight and neglect of the lanes had allowed the lanes to begin becoming more powerful and coming up with Shimmer and these other dangerous pieces. So most of the council has always been fairly hostile towards Zahn to begin with.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And this is just the tipping point, right? That can finally push them over the edge. What gets decided though? They decide 2-1, of course, as the episode says, to mount an attack on Zahn. However, 2-1 in favor of not unleashing the Hex Tech, modifications to weapons and things like that. So
as a last resort.
So that's kind of what gets decided. After kind of like the middle part of the episode here. We also have some Vi and Kate interaction.
Right.
Nothing super important yet. Kate offers Vi a spot on the what are they called?
The Enforcers.
Enforcers. Why can I never remember that? She offers her a badge. Vi's, it's your typical angsty, awkward, like, are they lovers? Are they friends?
Right.
Let's get angry at everything.
Yeah.
Create
Well,
someone.
and yeah, Caitlyn thinks she's helping out, and of course, enforcers are what killed Vi's parents to begin with. So Vi's like,
know your audience, Kate.
What are you
Come on.
Exactly.
Yeah. I will say this kind of leads to a cool little Easter egg. At least I considered it an Easter egg, and maybe it's not an Easter egg. Maybe you guys can tell me in the comments that I'm an idiot. But in Vi's like pouting of what's going on, she's drunk on the side of the road, and a big burly dude. Which at first I was like, I saw the long coat, and I'm like, is this maybe like the boots? Is this maybe like a Graves introduction? Are we getting some sort of like Bilgewater? They have the Hex Tech, gates essentially. So
right.
Who knows?
Yeah. What are we getting a champion here?
Yeah. I don't think so. But at first, before it
right
revealed, I was like, maybe. But there is a cool little Easter egg later on in the episode with this guy. He whips out, like, during the big melee combat stuff, he whips out like an almost Braum-like shield to protect them, and I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
As a Braum lover, I was like, yes, my dude. And we both, Venom and I both took the quiz that we talked about in episode 0 that Nick took during the episode, and we were both Freljordians. That's a very weird word to say. But so I'm always happy to get some shout out to the Freljord and my man Braum with the immaculate mustache. I almost said meticulous mustache.
It could be that too.
Yeah, depending on the day. So that kind of, well, I guess before we get into the memorial, what do you think's going on with this Kiraman key and like what Caitlyn learns?
Yeah, I was kind of thrown off by that a bit. Obviously, there is more power and history to the family, and again, I have not dug into the lore around League of Legends much in recent times, especially. But obviously, there's a lot more power involved here, which makes it kind of interesting that, obviously her mother was very powerful and well respected. And obviously they have quite a bit of money and everything, money and standing. But it's interesting that if there's all of this history here, I'm surprised it wasn't her mother that was the head of the council at some point. Especially with how towards the end of the episode we get Caitlyn marching in and suddenly putting Salo and the other counselors in their place, and basically just telling them off and using that as an excuse to do as she's going to please.
Yeah, and up until that point you're talking about right there, she's emotional and like wants to get things done, but also like timid when it comes to the council. And they like, anytime she would mention doing anything, there's basically like, shut up, you're not on the council, like get out of here.
Right.
Like go be an enforcer. But yeah, her dad, they have this, kind of touching little conversation where, Kate's like, I had the shot, I could have stopped Jinx, and
right.
And, I didn't. So she's obviously feeling guilty, because it led to her mother's death. And her dad is just like, yo, take this. Your mom wanted you to have it. And it's this key thing. And later on in the episode, she like goes down into some computer lab. I don't know, like enters the key into this USB looking Jedi thingy, and like opens up some old library archive of newspaper clippings.
Has the microscope going, clicking through.
The microfiche. They kind of like go through that like montage pretty quickly.
Right.
But it looked like some pretty cool, like old stuff.
Lots of different tech, and then there were masks and stuff like that. So it's almost like there's some sort of a secret society or something in the background that we don't get any kind of context on.
Yeah. But yeah, it whatever she found that is not explained gives her this massive confidence boost.
Right.
And like you said, I love that scene where she walks in, they're like in their underground basement, like, war center essentially.
Yeah, their nuclear
And
bunker.
she just comes in there. She's like, look, this is what we're doing. And they're like, Kate, just go be an enforcer. And then she like busts out the whole like, I'm a Kiramin, like you're gonna show me the respect and
matriarch of Kiramin or whatever now.
Yeah. She just lays it down, and like she's got all their weapons now are hex teched out.
Right.
We see the cool reveal of her rifle from in the game with the 3 scopes, and that's awesome. We see Vi's new gauntlets, which are amazing. The random could be cosplayer, like Graves cosplayer, like holding Brahm's shield is now hex teched out. Hex teched out. Man, that's hard to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a really cool scene. But I'm very curious, like, what the heck was Kate's mom like? Well, what's the familial history here that like puts her in this seat of power?
I really hope we get more on that, but I don't know if they're going to have time to give us more on that.
That was probably season 4.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's all kind of going on here in the middle part of the episode, and we end with some much needed intense action. Not that the first 2/3 of the episode was bad by any stretch of the imagination. There was a lot there, good stuff, answers to the end of season 1, right? But it was definitely lacking some visual excitement, right? And some tension. And we got that in the memorial, actually, for I think all the council members.
Yeah. They had I think the memorials had been had, and this was the first address of the people of Piltover by the council to say, after they decided in of course the 2-1 vote, they I believe Mel's mother told them that they needed to provide a unified front, a unified appearance. So they have Mel give the speech to the city of what the response of Piltover is going to be.
Yeah. I figured something was going to be going on here. You had the Benny Gesserit like people coming into the crowd with the huge, I don't know if you watch Dune at all, but they have a huge like hat with their faces covered.
Yeah.
And the one enforcer, real sketchy, carrying up a bag. Vi notices from the crowd, goes try to stop, obviously. Notices the enforcer has, one of the lane tattoos kind of on his neck. So she notices something's up. And then we just get an all-out Zon, like, Silco rebel attack here.
Right.
And it's crazy. There's some cool stuff going on.
Yeah. So it's hard to say, but it appears that it is 100% the Chem Lord, Rennie, I believe. Rennie. So the Chem Lord that has the green breathing tubes that comes to her nose, her son was actually the one that was killed by Jace in season 1 in the Shimmer factory. And it appears that she has taken it upon herself to try and get revenge for her son's death at this meeting for Piltover.
Yeah, man, her chainsaw looking thing was rowdy.
The Chempunk chainsword from League of Legends.
Yeah, I was just literally Googling trying to find the name of the sword, because that definitely is that item. Yeah, that was super cool. But that wasn't it. There were some BioShock Big Daddy looking neon green and purple dudes in armor that were crazy. There was one that was super big. But yeah, just a really well done, intense fight scene attack here on Piltover when they least expect it. And Jace is getting chased down by the Chemtech lady, and he gets chainsawed in the back and the shoulder. Vi and Kate are trying to do their part. You have the Graves Braum lookalike out there doing his stuff too. Actually, there's a cool scene where Vi runs, gets Jace's hammer, and she's trying to fire at the massive, huge, like mech looking dude, and she can't figure out like how to unlock the cannon, and Jace is like crawling up and gets it, and
it's like it's a bolt action or something, because she fires once and then can't figure out how to reload.
And I love it. They finally get it, and she fires, and right as she fires, like somebody throws something at it and kind of like knocks it off out of the line of fire, and so it just like goes soaring through the air, totally misses. But who comes and saves the day? It's Mbessa, Medarda, and the Noxians.
Saves the day just as it was about to be saved by Vi.
Exactly.
She fires off the shot to finish off this thing, and right before it hits, spear from one of Mbessa's troops.
Yes, so the Noxian army, who's just kind of been lurking, like we said, they're throughout the episode, biding their time, but they come in, they lay to waste the remaining rebels here that are attacking Piltover. And man, I'm telling you, that scene though where Mbessa's got, like, that we have for the thumbnail, when that scene happened, I was like, yes. I don't like you, Mbessa, but that was awesome. But now that we know Noxus is going to be playing a large part moving forward, at least for a couple episodes, like what Noxian champions are we going to see? Are we going to see any? I think we might. Do you have any guesses?
Man, I don't know that we get involvement from anyone else. I think this is going to be Mbessa's ride here. My knowledge of the Noxian generals and everything is that they're all kind of independent. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, and that seems to be most of the champions are different generals or high profile characters within the army. So I don't know that we get any more, unfortunately, but I don't know that we see anyone other than Mbessa.
No. How rad would it be to just see like a giant axe come through one of these battles, and then the camera pans over and just Darius is just waxing dudes with his giant battle axe.
Or we get a big crow storm come in.
Oh yeah, that would be crazy. But yeah, that's kind of the recap there. But
and of course the attack by Zaun, by Rennie and the chem warriors, whatever. I don't think we ever actually get a name for them, do we?
I don't think so.
The attack then pushes Mel to be in favor, Mel and Jace to be in favor of unlocking Hex Tech against.
Yeah, because the actual like ending part of the episode is
where
Kate going in, and they're all Hex Teched out. And by the way, Vi accepts the badge by the end of the episode. She's now in her.
Which we had that cool little while Vi is kind of dealing with her troubles with all the alcohol with Mr. Brom dude in the sewers or whatever. We had the young enforcer come up.
Oh yeah.
And kind of tell Vi how inspirational she is to the enforcers, and it makes Vi kind of it takes her off guard a little bit to know that Caitlyn went out of her way so much to push for getting her this badge, and Vi realizes how much this actually means to Caitlyn. And then of course you got the battle and everything. So
yeah, shout out to Maddie, the enforcer that was really picking up Vi when she was
I thought she was gonna die too.
So did I.
Yeah, it looked like she was gonna die, and that was gonna be the straw that pushed Vi over the edge, but I think she ended up surviving the battle there.
Yeah. Well, that may have been the end of the episode, but I believe what follows directly after that probably was a post-credit thing that they put before the credits, because no one stays around for the credits. But we get a little short scene of Singed walking through the woods.
Yeah, through the frozen wilderness. So maybe a little Freljord stuff going on here.
Just saying. Maybe it was Brom. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
But he stumbles across a wolf's den. Maybe Singe is doing a little jungle action. And he gets a little Singe toxic grenade looking thing. But I'm just saying, Warwick confirmed for season 2.
Right.
It's all but confirmed. At least that's where I'm I don't know where else it would be going other than that. Why show wolves and Singed, especially with the last thing we saw of Singed in season 1. Vander is Warwick confirmed. So you're welcome. But yeah, what do you think of the episode overall? Were you happy, pleased? Anything rub you the wrong way?
Yeah, I'm happy to be back into it. I feel like we got a good closure on what happened with the rocket. I mean, that was, oh my God, you have to start I was afraid we were going to get kind of a 10-minute flashback to start this season off of something totally irrelevant to the rocket.
Yeah.
And then get back into everything. So it was really nice that
we only had like a 3-minute version of that, and it was a music video.
Yeah. But we got into it right away, figured out, okay, who is dead, and started building from there. Even with the Zaun attack, I feel like we're still waiting to get into the meat of the season.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this was a good setup. We got the end here. The Piltover side is geared up, ready to go. They're missing a 5th though. They're going to try and 4-man this one, I think, if I remember right. But they're geared up, ready to go. And now I would assume episode 2 is going to jump into what's happening on the Zaun side, because we got no Jinx or anything in this.
No episode. Jinx, no Silco, no.
Well, Silco, we can't have any Silco, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, that's right. He's dead.
Yeah. Spoilers from season 1. Silco's dead.
Right over the head.
And that's where I was wondering if we'd get some kind of a Silco flashback to start out season 2. Something that happened with Silco back in the pre Revolt days, but we didn't get any of that. So that was kind of my only what's going on down below. We got a whole bunch of stuff up above. What's going on down below?
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I think it will be cool if episode 2 is exactly like you're saying, just the flip side of the coin, right? And then episode 3 to like close out the act is just like a big meshing of the two, right?
Starting to bring them together, right?
So that'll be good. I thought it was a good open to the season. Tied up the loose ends that needed tied up immediately. Immediately, as in like in terms of season 2,
right?
They didn't waste much time picking up where they left off, and I think the way the episode ended is like, all right, I need more. It was very hard to not watch another one. So yeah, I'm very excited. I still wonder. We have 8 episodes. I'm calling it Mundo is going to be introduced as a result of the Shimmer. That's my bold prediction. Usually on our companion series like this, we'll make some, or at least maybe it's just me, I don't know, I do it a lot. I'll throw out some super random bold prediction, and we'll see if it comes to pass by the end of the season. Sometimes I'm right. Sometimes I'm not even like in the same zip code. So we'll see with this, but that's gonna be my bold prediction for the season.
Yeah, there's gotta be another. We were all sold on the Warwick part. There has to be at least one more champion we get in here.
Yeah, and I feel like it's got to be. They've just been having these dudes hulking out on Shimmer, and it's just like, bro, Mundo is a giant purple hulky guy. Like,
right?
Just make it. It makes sense.
As far as I'm aware, Mundo himself does not actually have all that much lore to begin with. So it would be interesting. It would be interesting if they tried doing something with Arcane to introduce lore to that character before some kind of a rework or something in League itself. So
just saying, Riot, if you're looking, I'm available. I can help you guys out. Don't forget, 1, to subscribe, 2, to leave a comment for extra entries in the Steelbook giveaway, and 3, check out the Patreon, patreon.com/showboyspodcast. Anything else you just have to like get off your chest about this episode before we wrap up? You're just ready for episode 2?
I'm ready for episode 2. We'll have to see. Girlfriend is out. Still she was on episode 5 of her rewatch for season 1. So I think she got 5 and 6 in tonight. Okay. And she's super mad that I have already watched part of season 2. So hopefully she can catch up here so we can get into rewatching episode 1 and then watching episode 2.
Well, you got a couple days at least. As you know, viewer, if you're this far into the episode, that means you're probably a pretty big fan of Arcane. So you understand that they are released in 3-episode chunks. And you probably noticed this episode only covered 1 episode of said 3-episode chunk. So just a reminder, we will be having 1 podcast episode per episode of Arcane. So the podcast season will be running a little longer than it will probably take you to watch Arcane, but that's okay. Just come back and listen to us dig into every episode in great depth. So thank you guys for exactly. And let us know all the stuff that we missed. Let us know any Easter eggs you saw. I'd be interested to see if anyone noticed anything laying around. Thank you guys for listening and or watching. Make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you in the next episode. See ya. Hopefully Nick will be back.
All right.
Poor guy.